Couldn't find any fucking news. Well, that's not fair. Didn't look, but
I started scrolling and I was like, I think there is just mass quantities of content already. We're not going to need to talk about news.
all right. Yeah, it'll just be like, hey, hot shit consoles. Sometimes bad things about consoles, mostly good things. Such good things. Hot diggity.
Yeah, it seems like all the bad things are far from confirmed.
Well, it's like people not getting them, and like people. You anytime one of these comes up, you're like, I tried to load mine, and my house was on fire, and my dog was dead. It's a very bad PlayStation.
My dog barked 3 times in a very particular rhythm, and my storage space on my PS5 was lower than it should have been.
Yeah, just by like 600 megabytes, but man, fucking dog. Fucking
It's recording
Sony.
the barking.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
Yeah, high quality FLAC files every time one of you speaks, and it's just like eating up all your storage space.
It's dark.
Well, I mean, they should be uploading this shit to the cloud. If you're gonna spy on a PlayStation, you should do it more effectively using your own fucking servers. That's what I say.
That's a good point.
I did see that apparently the Xbox Series S out of the box has like 350 gigs of space.
Ooh, man. You could get 3/4 of Call of Duty on that.
You could get 1.6 Call of Duties on that thing. That's like going to the mall recruitment center and then getting halfway to the base after they make you sign the paperwork.
It's for some people. I don't know what you play on that fucking thing, but
Oh, like indies and shit, basically. It's like an indie and like a Game Pass box.
Yeah, it does YouTube as well.
Oh well, Jesus! It and my phone have something in common.
Yeah.
hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Press X, the podcast. It's your favorite podcast from your friends at COG Connected. I'm Paul, alongside Rhett and James.
Hello, everybody out there wanting or having PlayStations and Xboxes. How you doing?
Yeah, that's me. Still wanting, still waiting. Hopefully I've got my hands on one of these PS5s. I'll even take one of these Xbox Series X's sooner than later.
Well, how many nefarious deeds have you committed in the pursuits of getting a PlayStation 5, Rhett?
Nefarious? Nah, I've been quiet. I've been quiet this year, honestly.
No salacious stories?
No, it just hasn't felt like that kind of year, you know? I figured lay low, play it cool. Don't go to jail.
I mean, I figure this is the year to really go all out.
In a non-console release year, I'm right there with you. But once those brand new game boxes are on the line, I mean,
That was it.
you know, maybe do a couple of crimes, right? Like,
What are we talking about?
crimey type things where you know,
Armed
you
robbery or...
you meet up with 6 other guys in the like horizontal striped shirts with the little face masks and the weird hats, and then you all go and break into a giant bank vault. I may not have ever actually done any real crimes. I might not know what they look like. Full disclosure.
I like it.
Maybe
I got what you were going for.
Yeah,
Nah,
sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
Like you spin a giant wheel on a massive circular door, and it opens, revealing this plethora of PlayStations and Xboxes.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Like old man McGillicuddy, that son of a bitch, the bank owner, was like, I'll buy all the consoles and lock them in this huge vault. And then you and 3 friends, safecracker types, get in there and liberate those consoles and just chuck them out like empty Christmas boxes in a fucking really touching movie scene.
Nice. That's
So
cool.
a Robin Hood situation.
Yeah, or like that one scene in Batman Returns when Max Schreck, aka Christopher Walken, is chucking up big, colorful boxes. It's like, yo, presents! It's too bad I can't be evil up front, but until then, he hands out gifts. It's the whole thing. It's very, it's a complex morality tale that is always in season. Anyways, what in the sweet and salty fuck is up with you guys?
I have played more video games in the last 2 weeks than in years. So many years.
I hear that.
Holy shit. The number of hours spent in front of a television has been outlandish. Borderline psychotic.
Well, you were our PlayStation man, You're the one that got the early box. And so it was your duty to get in there and play all the things.
It was. And I really wish I could have spent more time with each one of the things. That would have been nice. But it was not meant to be. Because the codes just kept rolling in, and somebody had to play them.
Yeah, there's only so much time you can dedicate to each code.
And some codes, I couldn't dedicate any time to. I had to save them for somebody else.
Well,
and
that'd be a nice little stocking stuffer.
Yeah, there you go. James was a recipient of one of those codes.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm like a 4 out of 10 hype level for that one. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I'm going to play that for a while and then write about it.
Demon Souls?
No, Jesus, no. I would have loved / hated that in equal measure.
Yeah.
I'm still seriously considering buying it.
God, it looks so good.
It looks gorgeous, yeah.
Fuck.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. So
Just
smooth, too.
Why does that have to be your first big, super hot console exclusive that's like made for no other system but this one? Yeah. It was just like, oh yeah, it's the most beautiful game you've ever picked up in your entire life. It's gonna make you cry fat, salty tears when you turn it on.
Bye, James.
Oh, we lost him.
He's
back.
Did you just get a little too animated there, James, or what happened?
I don't know. I think my shit popped in and out for a hot second. Or maybe Discord was like, you're too loud, and then they cut me out.
Right. Too fired up.
Hey, they can't silence you, James.
No.
No one can silence you.
They can't silence Audacity. They can very much silence Discord.
Anyways, Demon Souls looks hot as shit.
Jesus Christ, yes. But yeah, I want it, but I don't. That's where I'm at right now. It looks amazing, but it'll make me sad to play it. But I want it.
Yeah, looking forward to a spare minute to hate every moment of that.
Yep.
But in the meantime, Rhett, why don't we start with you? What have you been playing?
Not much. Definitely not as much as you two fellas. But I have been playing a little Dirt 5, and it's been quite nice. Apparently, it'll work on the PS5 as well when that comes in, so that'll be a nice little bonus. But yeah, Dirt 5. I've never actually played a Dirt game before. I like my racing games. I like my Forzas. I'm looking forward to Gran Turismo very much. Dirt obviously isn't hardcore simulation like those two are, but it strikes a nice balance between simulation and arcade. I really want to play it on the PS5 because even on the PS4 with the DualShock, you feel the roads unlike you do in any other driving game. Like you feel the terrain and the bumps and the puddles and man, it's crazy. So I can only imagine how engaging and how how fun it must be to play it with that haptic controller. With man, like I don't know.
If I had to guess, it's probably more fun, but I doubt that they put too much time and effort into it.
I think so.
For this release.
Yeah, fair enough.
Based on all the things I've played so far, the one thing that has really stood out on the haptic front, like everything is pretty good. The one thing that's really stood out is Astro's Playroom, which is specifically made to take advantage of it.
Right. Okay.
So.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, Dirt is kind of the Forza Horizon to Dirt rallies Forza Motorsport,
For sure.
the arcade version.
Definitely. Feels, like I said, it's just a nice balance between arcade and simulation, and the drifting is super satisfying as well. Takes a little bit to get the hang of it, but once you do and you start getting around those corners perfectly, it's rewarding, satisfying.
How's it look on PS4?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful as well. Really nice weather effects. There's been a few races where they'll be 7-8 minutes long, and there will be different weather changes throughout. And by the end of the race, like there'll be a heavy storm coming down, and the track will have new puddles formed all over it, and so you're like constantly having to adapt. And yeah, it's interesting and engaging in that way, and yeah, rewarding. Like I was saying, very rewarding. I like this one. It's been a while since I've played a racing game that I've actually really enjoyed and like gotten excited about. And yeah, I'm happy with this one.
They're way less common than they used to be. Like, there's games like Forza Horizon, which it's more an open world game than a racing game. So
Yeah,
finding something where there's a list of races and then you drive in a circle are pretty few and far between, especially good ones.
yeah. That was another thing though. It's nice to have that change of pace. It's nice to get back to track racing, and
Yeah.
there are different events. Like there are ones that you're on ice, and I don't know if these are things that are events that were in previous games, but there's these ones where you're on ice for the entire race, and so you're sliding all over the place. And there's there seems to be like a little bit of a problem with balancing in these. Like one, you'll play one and you'll feel good, and you'll feel like you have the hang of driving on the ice and the nuances of it. You've got them down, but then you'll play the next one and you'll be all over the place, and you won't have, you won't feel like you have any control. I've kind of felt that all throughout their career. There's been maybe 5 or 6 of them so far, and it's like, it's like one of them you'll be great, one of them you won't know what you're doing, and then yeah. So I don't think all the events are necessarily hits, but man, the driving itself is fantastic.
Just like real life, man.
Yeah.
Not every day's a hit.
100%.
Today, big hit though. Loving it.
Oh yeah,
Just loving today.
killing it.
James, do you want to talk about Hyrule Warriors?
You know what? I do want to talk about Hyrule Warriors. By the time this podcast drops, my review will as well. And I think I'm hovering at like a pretty high score. Not like game of the year, but like if for consider I don't know, for consideration that list. Here's the thing. It's very much a Warriors game, but it's probably the best one I've ever played, even though it's still very much a Warriors game. Okay, so for example, the combat, where normally it's just kind of like you go in, you mash buttons, and shit explodes in front of you. This one sort of takes advantage of that like puzzle style Zelda combat, where like you have to use like certain attacks and certain moves at certain times, and they're like everybody takes full advantage of like the Sheikah Slate abilities. The standard ones with the bombs and the freezing and the stasis and the magnesis.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use those in combat. Zelda, actually, that's like her entire moveset. She's just like her basic strike is just rapid fire switching between those different Sheikah Slate powers. So like just like big magnetized boxes and like spectral chains and like ice blocks and shit like that, just like hammering down on people as fast as possible. So the combat is more involved. Like when you fight like the big bosses, you have to like use certain moves, and like certain ones will stun them, and they'll like sort of signal to you which one you have to use, and you hit them with that one, and then you can like break their shields down and just wail the fuck out of them and stuff like that. And like the combat never feels boring because you're always like thinking and working on certain strategies and doing shit like that. Also, everybody plays differently. Also, everybody, the more you play with them, the cooler they seem. So like Rivali, the flying boy with the wings and the bow and arrow, he was like, whatever, he's fine. But then I play with him for another 5 minutes or like for another couple of missions, like, holy shit, this dude will like float in the air, and then he'll do like this fucking like aerial strafing like super assault thing just for his like regular Y move, and then like the more combos you unlock, the more crazy shit you can do in the air and on the ground. Or like Impa has this fucking like shadow ninja clone ability she can use where suddenly there's like 6 of her all attacking at once, and like everybody gets new combos and stuff like that, and all their specials are amazing. And like when Link changes from one weapon to another, his moveset changes and he gets different specials. Oh, it's so fucking good.
That sounds way better than a Warriors
Yeah,
game.
like it sounds so sick.
Oh, it's like the best Warriors game I've ever played in my life.
Fuck.
But here's a question. Should I be playing this now, or should I wait for the inevitable Switch Pro version next year?
No.
No to which part?
No, just get it now. Like,
Oh, okay.
because like it runs great. It looks good. There's tons of content. Like the Switch Pro version will look. We don't know what that's gonna look like or when it's coming out or like what's gonna happen there.
Like,
Also,
listen, James, we don't have to know, but we can pretend to know.
Sure, I'm gonna pretend to know that when they do that, it's gonna be such an incremental increase in power that they're not gonna release new versions of games because they don't want to fully alienate 50% of their install base. Or if they do, they'll pick different games besides Hyrule Warriors. Point is, get Age of Calamity right fucking now. It's so good.
Okay, got it.
And like it's like an actual prequel type story where you're like learning things. It's definitely as much in the way of like cutscenes and information and like background details and fun story beats as like the first game was. Probably more. It's like it's you get more story than you did with Breath of the Wild. Plus you get to play those characters such as Urbosa, whom I love and stan and simp for unapologetically, and am totally fine with admitting this in public because she's the fucking best, and people who don't feel this way just don't know enough about her or have not really spent the time to ponder this issue before they too will realize that Urbosa is in fact the fucking best. Also, she has lightning powers in the game, which is like pretty rad.
Yeah, lightning powers, they're always a winner.
I don't think anybody's like a total dud. Like, yeah, no, well, okay, well, the game's, well, there's characters I can't exactly talk about, or I shouldn't because they haven't been in the, like, trailers, but there's people besides the people in the trailers, and even they are surprisingly useful, even though they're also the sort of people you wouldn't think would be really good in a fight. They get there.
No idea what you're talking about, but cool. Someday I will.
Well,
when I get
yeah,
the Switch Pro, I'll know.
Yeah.
there's a list of characters I wasn't allowed to talk about, and I haven't even seen 3 of them because I'm so busy with side quests. I haven't like finished the game yet.
How much time have you put into it so far?
God, like 20 or 30 hours, probably 25. I don't know.
Nice. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so good. Everybody buy it. Everybody play it. It's it's so good. If not like a top 10 games of the year, definitely top 5 or 10 Switch games is going to be Age of Calamity.
That's a weird distinction that we often have to make as writers when we're coming up with lists. You can either try to create a list of the best objectively, or you can create a list of your favorite. And favorite is arguably more interesting because, you know, it's got some subjective content in there, but
Yeah.
Well,
everybody disagrees on the objective metrics for everything.
Well, yeah, because the favorites list and the best list are just the same fucking list. We're just, one, you're a little more honest about it, and the other one, you have to make up embarrassing justifications as to why, oh no, but really, this is the best game. I'm like, you liar.
Yeah, we routinely end up with a game that is our favorite game at the end of the year, more than the best game, which is, I don't know, I think that's better from my perspective.
Yeah,
Totally.
well, because then for the reader, they get to read a whole bunch of different lists that are interesting instead of like one list repeated 15 times. It's like, oh yeah, of course, this is on here. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this isn't fun.
Well, I'll tell you about a game that's definitely going to be on my top 10 favorite games of the year list. Actually, there's probably a couple in my my spiel today that are going to be on my list, but
Yeah.
the one I want to talk about first is Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Nice.
All right.
Fucking gorgeous.
Oh my God. It is phenomenal looking. I did not expect any game, period, over the course of this new console generation, to use ray tracing to the level that they've been able to use it already. Spider-Man being a cross-gen game, the ray tracing adds such a level of detail to the world. I am blown away by it. Because it's New York City. Everything's fucking reflective. It's also winter, so there's lots of puddles and stuff all over the place. And everything is so reflective. And it's not just the big things like the buildings, which obviously look amazing when you spider stick to the side of the building and you take a sweet photo of this amazing reflection. It's more the little things that stood out to me. Things like the lenses on Spider-Man's helmet, mask. The lenses on his mask, those reflect the world. Or the spider emblem on the front of his suit reflects the world. And it's little details like that I found myself getting absolutely caught up in throughout the course of the game. So as a visual presentation is absolutely immaculate in this game. And you should in no way play it in the performance 60 frame per second mode because you lose so much without the ray tracing.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will love the 60 frame per second mode because it's more fluid combat and stuff, which is great. But it's for me, it's definitely the cinematic mode is the way to go for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was watching some side-by-side footage the other night, and it's a different game in performance mode.
Yeah, it's night and day.
It's wild, yeah. It's absolutely gorgeous. I was going to ask, I know that you were saying that Astro Bot makes use of that haptic feedback in the controller, better than anything you've played so far. But I was really curious how the web swinging feels on those analog sticks.
There's not too much going on with the web swinging as far as haptic goes.
On the triggers too, like nothing.
Yeah, I mean you can feel the webs a little bit with the vibration.
Right. Okay.
And that feels cool. But as far as the triggers go, it is more that they have changed the resistance on the triggers to make it feel a little more satisfying than a linear pull.
Right.
So the resistance changes as you pull the trigger. And at the bottom of the trigger, there's kind of this, bump almost. So that when you pull the trigger all the way, it feels satisfying. Like, yeah, I really shot that web.
Okay.
But it's another one of those situations where I think they're games that are specifically made for the PlayStation 5 are going to take more advantage of it. So I'd expect things next year like God of War Ragnarok to be a lot further in that direction. But I did notice little haptic touches here and there that still couldn't be done on another console, I don't think. But they weren't as standout as things in Astro's Playroom.
Right. Okay.
Astro is going to be the gold standard, I think, for a while because it's like I played it for 10 minutes and it was like, oh yeah, no game in the history of video games has done what this has done. This is fucking unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. And Astro's Playroom is the best game on the system. Period.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Because of the way it shows off the potential of this controller, which I do think is going to be the generation defining feature.
Right.
I would be shocked if Microsoft doesn't come out with a new controller in the next couple of years that apes this functionality because they're going to fall way behind in terms of engagement with a game. And even if the Xbox is more powerful in some ways, I think people would gravitate towards a PS5 version of a third-party game because of the immersion factor. I think that's going to be a big thing.
And then they can charge another $300 for it.
Oh shit! It's going to be the Elite 6, and it's going to be $8.99.
Sickening.
But anyways, to go back to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The thing I was really curious about with this game, compared to Spider-Man 2018, is would it feel like a side story? Would it feel like the B-tail to Peter Parker's A-tail? And the answer to that is absolutely not. This is, even though it's shorter than the 2018 game, it is a fully fleshed out and really, really well done story that specifically focuses on what makes Miles Morales an interesting character in this world. And one of the things that resonated with me is seeing that growth, because Miles is still a kid. In the 2018 game, Peter Parker is older, he's wiser, he's been Spider-Man for several years, but Miles is just learning the ropes. So from things like the animations, where Miles is kind of barely hanging on as he's web swinging around, and he's very much more frantic and like uncontrolled during combat than Peter is, that's mirrored in his personality and some of the interactions that he has with the characters in the world. And I really like how they have written this story, because it is a diversity and inclusion focused story without specifically waving a giant flag and saying, hey, look at us, we're writing a diverse story and you should be proud of us for writing this story. Instead, it focuses on the individual characters and what they're doing in the world, and makes you care about them because they're good characters, not because they're waving a flag and saying, hey, look at us, look what we're doing. And that's something that just isn't really happening in games right now. And I think it's a big step forward for inclusion in games in a lot of ways. There's things we've seen, or you've seen already in trailers, like the Harlem night market that's got a bunch of cultural references and things like that. But there's a lot of inclusive characters that I didn't expect to pop up that I enjoyed just because they were good characters. And I think anyone who plays this game, if they take the time to pay attention to the story and pay attention to the characters, they're going to find themselves really enjoying it, regardless of what kind of background they come from, which I think is a great thing. And from a gameplay perspective, it's still Spider-Man. It's still got the best traversal system that's ever been put in a game. Deceptively deep combat system that's also been modified to suit Miles's powers. And I think the combat is more fun in this game than it is in the 2018 game. So there is,
It looks like it.
win. Nothing but winning in this game.
Can you play as Peter?
You cannot play as Peter. Peter is in it a little bit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he is
Not even
the plot.
Not even a skin, eh?
No. The plot contrivance of this game is that Peter's on vacation. So it's up to Miles to protect the city.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's that's a very important plot point, to me at least. I feel like we need to normalize giving superheroes time off, or else we're going to have to start telling more stories about how they crack under the pressure and fall apart and lash out in various ways, because they don't have like a union or like labor laws or anything. Like, they just, motherfuckers need downtime.
Straight up, man. Peter kept getting fucked over time and time again last game. And especially after that ending, like you said, man, if he didn't get that vacation time in, I fear for New York.
Yeah, well, that's kind of part of the story as well, is because Miles is so new, and he's been under the tutelage of Peter, trying to learn how to be the other Spider-Man. The through line, or the thread of the story that pulls you through emotionally, is he's moving from being the other Spider-Man to being just Spider-Man, and not just another Spider-Man in the city, but Harlem's own Spider-Man. And
right.
yeah,
Nice.
it's good.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
That's cool.
So yeah, Spider-Man. James, give me your hot takes on Astro.
I played it for very little time because I just got the system yesterday. And I'm like ass deep in other projects. But that controller tech demo is going to stand uncontested for a while, I think, because like other developers are going to have a really hard time catching up to those capabilities, because like Paul, you've talked about this before, but like every single goddamn thing that you touch or interact with or walk over or walk by or like acknowledge or approach in any fashion has its own particular individual vibration that feels like it's coming from like a different enough part of the controller when interacting with you, the player, in a different way, so that like it all feels pretty unique. And like especially the capacity for like resistance in the triggers, like that. Oh, that's a big one. That's important. That's gonna be the sort of thing that people are gonna almost like, they're gonna love it immediately, then they're gonna take it for granted, then they're gonna get mad when other consoles don't do it. Because they're like, well, why don't I have that same resistance when I'm pulling the trigger of a very large gun on my Xbox controller? What the fuck? Phil Spencer, come on down, answer these queries the fans want to know. I think I touched on this in one of my violent opinion pieces that I've been doing lately. But like, the haptic feedback for that controller is so good that the gun stuff is going to give people fucking flashbacks. Like, you're going to be like, pop, pop, pop. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just like that time that was bad before. I don't know. I don't have trauma. Shut up. But, you know, it's out there. Anyways, Astro is a fucking beautiful fucking prophecy of what's to come.
And not just because of the haptic stuff, but some of what it's doing visually is really impressive too, because this game is running at a locked in 60 frames a second.
Yeah.
And it is still ray tracing.
Yeah.
So part of the game is you're kind of collecting these collectibles from PlayStation history. So,
yeah.
you know, some old PlayStation things have screens on them. And I was looking at this thing and kind of spinning it around to look at what was going on. And it's definitely ray tracing. The reflections that are coming off the screen are accurate and filtered in a way that makes it look like it's reflecting off of a screen. And somehow it's still performing at 60 frames a second. And obviously Astro isn't the most complicated game out there from a, you know, computational perspective, but the fact that it can be done in a first through the gate kind of game, really impressive.
Yeah.
And just go ahead, Rhett.
Sorry, I was just going to say that I hope that games don't follow suit with the previous Astro entries from Sony on the PS4 and on the PSVR. When they launched the PS4 and you had that little Astro, well, it was Astro's Playroom or something like that. And the way that they made use of the touchpad in that game, how you would like swipe the pad and little robots would fly out of the controller and things like that. I couldn't think of any other game that like utilized the controller in the way that they showed that was possible with that demo. And then same thing with the PSVR, that Astrobot game. There's no other PSVR game better than that. It utilizes the technology better than any developer did. And so yeah, I hope that developers take full advantage of what they can do with this PS5 controller here.
I think the big difference is, while the touchpad is a thing that you could do stuff with, the haptic feedback in this controller is suddenly going to become something that you must do things with.
Right.
If you're not doing something innovative and interesting with the haptics in the controller, you're probably not as good as your competitors.
Yeah, falling behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just going to take a couple of big time developers to do some next level shit with it. And then everybody else would be like, well, we obviously got to also do it. But you know what I mean? But somebody else has to pick up the baton, or else it's going to be, like you said, Rhett, a repeat of the previous Astro situations. Like, there's one part in that Playroom game where you like hop into a little like mech suit and you use the touchpad to like zip his ass up before he goes off to the second stage. Like,
yeah.
Oh man.
Right? Like, there's some interesting ideas in it.
Yeah.
There's one bit where you jump into another thing and then you're flying a rocket ship. You got two engines on the rocket, one for each of the triggers. And it absolutely blew me away flying this ship because of the resistance on the triggers, and the things are like chattering underneath your fingers because of the power of the rocket. And after a minute or two of flying this ship around, I found that I was able to fly the ship based on feel. I didn't necessarily have to be looking at what was going on the screen to effectively fly the ship and know how fast I was flying and what direction I was flying because of the haptic feedback.
Nice.
Crazy.
It's mind-blowing how good it is.
I wonder, and like no joke, I wonder if this would, sort of help with the new generation of blind gamers. I've seen,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Like I've seen a few documentaries on blind gamers that are able to compete really well in like fighting games, Street Fighter and Tekken and stuff. I wonder if this could be the true next level for them. That'd be crazy.
Oh, I can see you using the haptics really effectively in the horror genre.
Yeah. Oh,
You could have
yeah.
sections of the game that are completely dark and you've got to navigate and do whatever based on the haptic. It would be possible.
Right.
It's
right.
granular enough that you could do it.
You could absolutely do that. Jesus Christ. You're like fumbling around in the dark, you're like hearing shit. Like, also,
Crazy.
that's a fun thing that nobody fucking warned me about, is that the with the Astro game, sound is coming out of the goddamn controller.
Yeah. But in a more effective way than it would on the PS4. It's not just your Death Stranding baby
Yeah.
crying at you.
Yeah, no, that was whack. No, I mean like good, cool, useful shit where it's just like, oh, sick. All right, that's great.
I mean, I do think this is something that's going to be adopted across the board. Because even something like Call of Duty has a big haptic component. I know immediately it's obvious when you're playing this game that when you have a bigger gun in your hands, pulling the aim down sights trigger is harder. It's really light and easy to do if you're holding a pistol, but if you've got a big LMG, it's harder to pull that gun up to your face. And each one of the guns feels different on the right trigger. And you can kind of, ride the trigger a little bit, and it's easy to pop off a shot or two, even with a gun that's difficult to control, just based on feel. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy.
Let's talk about something that is not that crazy and is a paint by numbers made into a video game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh.
All right, so here's the deal. I have not really played an Assassin's Creed game since the first one, and I never finished the first one because I thought it wasn't fun. I wasn't having a good time. I didn't enjoy it. I was like, no, fuck this. I'm out. I will probably actually finish Valhalla. I'm probably going to go in and do all the things and, wrap it up and explore and whatnot. Like, it's, I think the way that Ubisoft is making Assassin's Creed games now, if whichever one you pick up is like your first one, especially your first one since Origin or like Odyssey or Valhalla, any of those three, if any of those are your first Assassin's Creed game in a while, you're gonna fucking love it. But if you've been playing these things steady, your mileage is probably gonna vary. You know what I mean? Because like I had the sneaking sensation that like, oh no, none of this is new. It's just new to me. So I like it, but at the same time I recognize that they're not reinventing the wheel here. They're just doing the same shit they've been doing. But it runs a lot better than previous games.
That's true.
Oh my god. So that's cool. And there's a lot of little things that I thought were great, like the fact that you can like swap the gender of the character literally any fucking time you want. You're like, I want to see what the guy's story is like. And you just hop on over, you do that. I've been playing with the girl's story since the jump because this is how I roll. I also appreciate the fact that you can respec your skill points at any time. Like you can just go into the menu and like wipe that fucking board clean and redistribute from the beginning. Because I went like bear path at first. I was like, oh, this is dumb. All my armor is Raven. What am I doing? So I just respec'd and went all Raven, and now I'm like a faster, stronger, smarter, cooler character. The combat is still pretty fucking basic, but like
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed games are basically just like a buffet table of different little mechanical systems, all well crafted, none of them really deep, but you can kind of assemble a lot of them together to make a reasonably satisfying meal. But like, there's no individual element of this game that's gonna be like, oh, that's the best example of X that I've ever played. Like the stealth, it's okay. It's not that great. Same with the combat, same with the exploration, same with like the base building, the fishing, all that shit. It's fine. But then they're kind of relying on you like sweeping a lot of that together and be like, oh, well, you know what? I've had fun for a lot of the time I was playing this game, so great. And then they just come away feeling relatively happy, which is what I did.
It's the kind of game that's made for people who only buy one game a year. Because you could play this game for an entire year. There's enough content there that, hundreds of hours is fully possible. And all of it is probably at least okay.
Yeah.
Like, value per dollar is pretty good, but man, is this game fucked up in a lot of ways.
All right, shoot, hit me up, man. What you got? What's fucked up about it?
The sound is completely fucked. I don't understand why, but just about everything that happens in this game sounds like you're hearing it through either an AM radio or it's happening in the next valley over and you're hearing an echo. Nothing feels like it's happening right in front of you, so there's no impact of anything. If you hit somebody with a giant axe, it feels like you heard about it and it happened a week earlier and somebody told you that there was an axe thing happening. I don't know. There's something drastically wrong with the sound mix.
For me,
I don't know.
I was covering a headset this week, right? And then I had this note written down. Hey, some of the game sound is kind of shitty, but I was like, oh no, this might be a problem with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I did some more testing, and I discovered that the children and the child-sized characters, specifically for some reason on my playthrough, sound real bad. Like there's this one little dude you run into near the beginning, because I'm near the beginning because the game is too big and there's too much of it and there is too little time to play it. It's fine. Anyways, this little dude, he gives you missions. He's like the head of some organization. It sounds like he recorded his lines from home, which he probably did because this game was developed during a pandemic. And so like it's very possible that whoever did that voice recording didn't have as good of equipment as people who did the other shit. I understand that. That's an acceptable problem to have. I mean, send a motherfucker a good mic. Why don't you? But for me, I didn't actually notice too many serious troubles, except for sometimes there would be these sound glitches where like it sounded like the audio track for the dialogue would like freeze for a second. Like they'd be like halfway through a sentence and then you hear this like 1 or 2 second gap and then the next word would come out and it was just like, what? Where'd you go? Or are we in a fucking Zoom call? What happened?
It's for maximum realism. You want you to feel like you're in the real world where, people just drop off for a second or two every once in a while.
Yeah, and it didn't happen very often, but it did happen. And it was not great. But I mean, I went into this game expecting Bug City, and I got like a bug hamlet, like a bug subdivision. Not great. Not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Well, I mean,
that's a great way to put it.
Assassin's Creed's pretty notorious for being buggy, though.
Yeah,
especially.
But no,
I mean, the audio sounds fucked in this one, but there's definitely been audio bug issues in all the games prior.
Well, it's
not that I'm excusing it.
Yeah, they've got the same problem with this series that Microsoft has with Windows. They built Windows one day, and they've been building on top of that for the last 30 years.
Yep.
And
yep.
Everything is riding on this code that was written by somebody in a garage 30 years ago. And the same deal is happening with Assassin's Creed. And they can't rewrite it. There's like 50 million lines of code. They can't rewrite it. They just got to keep putting shit on top of it and hoping they can fix it. And a lot of the time they can't, which I think is probably what's going on with this audio mix.
They should just take 2 years off and do a new engine and just fucking leave this fucking swamp tower behind.
They did take 2 years off.
They did, yeah.
Odyssey came out 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, but like But like off, because that was just like them develop. They took a year off and they developed a game for a year. That's not the same thing. 2 years, 2 years to like fix your engine problems because you obviously fucking have them. Like, this is the time. This is the time. You're like, oh, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Oh, it's so hard to work right now. It's like, no, this is perfect.
Man, they're thinking they did that with Origins. That was the time off and the fucking back to the drawing board and yeah. I think we're gonna be seeing a long line of games, just like Odyssey, just like Valhalla, fucking Ubisoft.
Sidebar. I installed Valhalla on my PS5 because I just wanted to see how's it run. Quick test verdict. Still has load times, disappointing, but it runs so goddamn smooth, and all the textures are like clear as crystal, like just like a buttery 60 frames per second, and the lighting is great. And it's just like, I mean, I don't know if the audio issues are fixed because I was just playing it through regular speakers and I wasn't paying much attention to that. But I took like a long horse ride through a bunch of territories a couple of times, and I was like, fuck, man. Ooh, This was definitely built with a next-gen console in mind because it looks so much better.
It does. It looks great. The audio's still fucked, though.
Yeah, audio's still fucked. Graphics are, so delicious. Keep in mind, hey, listeners, I did not experience the audio problems to the same extent that Paul did. I had a couple of hitches, but, like, for the most part, I found it, like, fine, Like, it was perfectly acceptable. I would say if I'm grading every element individually, maybe the audio for me gets like a 6.5 out of 10, whereas like the combat gets a 7, and then the graphics get like an 8, and then like the voice acting gets like an 8. You know what I mean? You break it down like that, but like the audio isn't that much worse for me specifically. But
it's very generous of you, James.
Yeah.
What kind of TVs are you guys playing these on?
Shitty 4K.
I'm on a pretty nice 4K.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if it looks gorgeous on shitty 4K,
it's like it's not 120 hertz.
Right.
My set because I don't like that. I don't like it when movies and TV shows look like that, or it looks like a fucking PBS documentary.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. The soap opera effect.
I hate that shit.
Yeah. No, it's not good. I don't want it.
Yeah. If things are locked, if games as well are locked at 60 frames per second, like that's plenty for me as well. I don't see why, why people need to go 90 frames per second, why you need 120. Things look fantastic at 60.
Yeah, like 60 to 120, you can tell or you can feel it, even if you can't necessarily,
Sure.
You can see a difference, but
but still,
you can feel it, but it's not as big a jump as like 30 to 60.
Right, exactly, right? I don't know.
Well, because 30 is what we've grown up with. 30 has been most of our lives. 60 is the hot new shit. 120 is like, my fucking prescription frames aren't good enough to even perceive that shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of jump.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where we, the viewer, the audience, are going to have like fucking ocular implants and upgrades in order to really, really appreciate those frames.
I can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to the cyber future.
Oh, yeah.
If and when Cyberpunk comes out.
The cyber future is the only fucking reason I bought a PS5 at launch.
Yeah.
Like, Valhalla's cool, and I'm sure DMC5 is okay, and Miles Morales is going to be great, but also, fuck all those games. I'm here for the punk, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you one game you should definitely look into, because it's not a full price game. That is The Pathless. And that's the game. I guess I talked about this on the last podcast a little bit, but I played through the rest of it, and it's really good. It's the game where you shoot a bow at targets, and it makes you dash and sprint around and kind of fly from place to place in this enormous open world filled with puzzles and monsters and things like that. It's pretty cool. I like this game a lot. Yeah, it's like this enormous open world that is large to encourage you to use the traversal mechanics. And your hunter can kind of run along the ground and use these little speed boosts by shooting targets, or you've got an eagle buddy and you can kind of glide around and also shoot targets. So you can chain these things together by doing like a gliding, soaring thing and shoot a couple of targets and get some speed boosts, get some height, and then go back to gliding. You can really rip across these landscapes, and it's a lot of fun to do. That's kind of the main thing that I was enjoying playing this game. There's also puzzles, and the puzzles are okay. They're pretty repetitive. If anything, my critique of the game is that it kind of overstays its welcome a little bit. It doesn't diversify itself enough over the course of the game to really be this, phenomenal, game-changing experience. But it is a lot of fun, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure it is buttery smooth as you're zipping around.
It really is.
Yeah.
We've got some video on the YouTube of that if you want to see it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anybody else play anything else? I got one more thing I can talk about.
I got a couple really quick things I can knock off really, really fast.
Let's do her.
In keeping with my acquisition of the PS5 yesterday, I was blessed with a copy of the special edition of Devil May Cry 5. I have had like 20 minutes with it so far, enough to really appreciate how they've sexed up the frame rate and the textures. Although some of the effects and some of it still feels like, ooh, that still feels very PS4. But then some things are like, oh, that looks amazing. It's a really weird mix. The intro stage is just like a sort of weird hell world that's like kind of veiny and kind of fleshy looking, but kind of also not. And then the weird spiderwebby shit that they spread over the back walls and over the distance still feels very last gen. But then everybody's, faces and shit, like how everybody looks like the character models, that's very this generation. And it's a weird kind of melding of the two ideas with the way the graphics work. Also, the visuals, because you can change the graphical settings based on what kind of monitor you have, and I'm not rocking that 120 hertz shit. That's not my bag, like I said. And that is going to actually impact my experience with Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. So it'll be interesting to see how it looks for me versus how it looked for other people, and what my capture video footage looks like, what I can fucking bring in. Also, last time we spoke on here, this cast, I had just finished a game called Ghost Runner, which I fucking hated. But I wasn't able to talk about yet because the drop date was after or something, or they didn't quite line up. But it's basically a first-person platformer with combat, and other people thought it was great. This game got pretty rave reviews across the board. I discovered in playing this game that first-person melee combat is not really my style. Rather, this incarnation of it is not my style. And you have to do these split-second reflexes, perfect reaction time challenges where you have to leap through the air and bounce off shit and smash into people and do your melee sword slash. Also, you have 1 hit point. You can get hit once, and then you have to start from an arbitrarily designated checkpoint somewhere in the stage. And the first person and the melee and the platforming and the leaping and the flying around and the sword versus gun combat you're dealing with, because everybody else has projectile weapons and you have a blade. All of these things combine to make a game specifically built to make me sad and angry. To the so obviously utterly not for me that I couldn't even get really visceral with it in the review, because I'm like, this isn't a bad game. It's just everything I fucking hate about 3D gaming rolled up into a ball and like crammed down my open gullet. Like it was just like such a fucking tragic assemblage of circumstances. I did my best to like present an objective view of the thing, but it was basically fucking impossible. But yeah, I played that briefly and hated it so much.
Wow. Well, fuck
Yeah,
that game.
yeah,
Man.
devastating.
Hey, just jumping back to DMC5.
Yo,
Not related to DMC5, but something I did try on the PlayStation 5, which is amazing, is Ghost of Tsushima.
Ooh,
I just downloaded that. I'm gonna fuck with it tonight. I'm gonna
Holy
see
shit, man. It's locked at 60 frames. It's amazing.
fuck, I bet.
It looks so good. Like, I mean, it's worth playing through again just because it looks so fucking good. At
Yeah,
60 frames
if I
a
ever
second.
have time for that again in my life, by God, I'll do it, man.
Yeah, man, I'm thinking this is my chance for my Kurosawa mode run.
Ooh,
Mm.
yeah, nice.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it looks so good, but like some of the cutscenes are still locked at 30 because they're, I don't know, pre-rendered, I guess.
Yeah.
And it looks so ridiculous when it pops out of this gorgeous, buttery smooth 60 frames a second into this janky 30 for this cutscene, which, you know, obviously looked better than the regular gameplay on the PS4.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I hope they do more updates like that for PS4 games, because there's quite a few that have been updated to run at 60. Days Gone is another one. Looks outstanding.
Oh yeah.
It looks so good. Made me want to go back and play that game again.
I remember saying that back, man, a year ago. I was like, I thought that Days Gone really felt like a game that was future proofed for the PS5. It was made for the PS5 essentially, but it had been in development so long they needed to get it out, and yeah, the PS4 just could not handle that game beyond like the halfway point.
Yeah. Like some of the motion capture and character faces and things they're a step below the stuff that came out later, like Last of Us and
Oh
Ghost.
yeah, definitely.
But it looks really good.
Looks good and like
and it plays a lot better at the higher frame rate. It's easier to manage some of the motorcycle sections and things.
yeah, that's the biggest problem is the faster you make your bike and the faster you start moving, the tougher the tougher a time the game has of keeping up with you. So
Yeah, I couldn't find a section that wasn't running at 60. So
Yeah, okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I was thinking this would actually be my opportunity to finally play Control, because it doesn't really run properly in a base PS4.
I haven't tried that yet. Because they
And-
did
and
come
it-
out with that the Ultimate Edition. That's the upgraded version, but presumably you can play the old one in backwards compatible mode.
Check out that Alan
Yeah.
Wake DLC too.
Just so it like
Yeah.
runs properly. That's all I want. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit if it's ultimate or whatever. I just want to be able to play the fucking game, you know? Like
Well, it ran pretty well on the Pro, so I'd imagine that it's fucking amazing on the 5.
yeah.
I'll have to download that. I will report back. James, also report back. Let me know what you think about Control.
Yeah, I will get back to you and the listeners how I feel about the game now that I can play it without it stuttering and jittering horrendously.
Okay.
Okay.
I think you'll like it. Man.
Yeah, so I got one last thing I could talk about, and that is Sackboy, A Big Adventure.
Ooh.
And I'm enjoying it so far. I have a long way to go. I'm still in the first couple of worlds in this thing, but it's like if they took the whole vibe from Little Big Planet and removed the creation features and changed the jumping mechanics so it didn't suck completely.
Mhm.
Okay. Good.
It is very charming. There's lots of funny little character moments and facial expressions that Sackboy makes in the cutscenes. But so far it seems like it's really straightforward. Like super straightforward. It's very
Right.
A to B in these levels. dressing your sack person up however you want. Remains to be seen if that is going to become more challenging or a little more diverse over the course of the game. I have my suspicion the answer is no, but we'll see. It would be a ton of fun to play with kids, especially in a multiplayer setting. It would be amazing. Be a lot like Super Mario 3D World.
I was just gonna say it's a family affair.
Absolutely. Great family game. But a lot of the time I'm playing this game, I feel like Astro's Playroom does some of the same things better. Or is more interesting in a lot of ways.
So Astro's really making a bid for the mascot role here.
Oh, absolutely.
I think successfully made that bid and won it. Like,
yeah, right?
Yeah,
Like
no, for sure, man.
I was thinking they got Crash, but Crash is passe. I know 4 just came out, but it felt like a relic. Astro feels fresh, feels new.
Oh, I would love to have a full length Astro adventure. Like I said in the review, that I think the level of cute, witty, whimsical situations that Team Asobi, which is the team that makes Astrobot games, is putting into these games is second only to Nintendo at this point.
Nice.
And I'm so glad that this is a thing that everybody's going to have access to on their PlayStation 5. Everybody should play it. It's only like 3 or 4 hours long, but it is outstanding.
Nice.
Almost certainly on my top 10 this year.
Does this come as a download with the system? Or
it is pre-installed.
Pre-installed, okay.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, that's cool. Next gen. It's over. Look forward to the PlayStation 6 and the Xbox Series XX.
Nah, I think they're gonna get out of the game after this one. Just fucking give it up. Go straight PC and partnerships with Nintendo and Sony. Yeah,
could be. So today, or earlier today, my Xbox Series X finally arrived.
All right.
And I don't know that I'm gonna open it. Because
ever, or just like today, or like
I don't know. I think I'm gonna sit on it for a few days because I don't really know that I need this thing right now.
Yeah. What is the point of opening it?
I could look at Gears 5 again.
Look at Gears 5.
Yeah. Play Ori again. And that got me thinking: is this the first time that a major console manufacturer has released a system with not a single first-party launch game?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is yes.
It's...
You couldn't handle that. Yeah. Definitely couldn't handle that one.
James, if you meant to disconnect, that was the most perfect comedic timing.
Oh, well, I didn't, but let's roll with the fact that I did. God, so beautiful. How did I manage that? What kind of wizardry was that? Unreal, incredible, spotless. Anyway, not a single goddamn exclusive on the Xbox. Sucking and ducking all day long.
I mean, you can go on and on about your Game Pass and stuff forever, but really, what is the point of buying an Xbox Series X or Series S this holiday?
True.
There's literally not a single thing you can play on this thing that you can't play on your existing Xbox or on a PlayStation 5, which would give you access to all the other things that we've just spent the last hour and a bit talking about.
Yeah.
You're telling me they couldn't have had a Gears game ready for this? Obviously, that Halo game wasn't going to be ready, but what about a Forza? They couldn't have anything ready?
Nothing. Not even an exclusive DLC, like a mini campaign from Gears 5.
Yeah, that's
anything
what I'm saying,
that
right?
Like could launch with this thing.
A Gears of War Miles Morales, They couldn't have come up with anything like that. It's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
I don't understand how it's possible. It's $1 trillion company,
Yeah. I think history will not look upon the launch of the Series X all that kindly. I think they've got a cushion because of the fact that it's the pandemic year, so everybody's having a real fucking rough ass time. But no, man, no, they took a pretty big L on this one.
Yeah, like, yeah, it's a pandemic year, but they didn't really have the year to sacrifice. Like they were playing from behind with this launch, I feel like, and for them to not come out with any games, not any first party games, man, it's a bizarre decision.
Yeah,
Uh,
PlayStation had a couple of little titles. Like Astro was little. It's a few hours. Uh, Miles Morales is a shorter campaign. You know what I mean? Like Demon
but
Souls is a remake. Like it's a soft console launch, but it's a console launch.
for sure, but like hearing how Astro utilizes the controller, it makes me want to go get the system to play Astro. You know, it makes me want to play that game. Miles Morales, hearing how gorgeous it is and how ray tracing is just phenomenal in it. Man, it makes me really want to go play that game. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's a soft launch, but they definitely got a couple big draws, you know?
Yeah, and someone was saying in our Slack chat the other day that they tried out Bug Snacks and hated it. And my very trolly response was, "So you're saying it's better than any of the Xbox launch games?"
Yeah.
Because there's fucking zero.
Yeah.
Like, what's your launch game? Is it Assassin's Creed? Watch Dogs?
Yeah,
Sorry, that doesn't cut it.
No,
no,
those aren't console launchers because they're out on other systems. Also,
Including the ones you already own.
yeah.
S- I don't know, man.
yeah, and
I
those games aren't doing very well, anyways. You know, like if those games were killing it on PS4 and Xbox One, and it was like, okay, now these versions are going to be crazy on the next gen systems, okay, maybe, but yeah, it's not like these games are exactly killing it.
No.
Yeah,
And I mean, I do trust Phil Spencer and the process that he's going through, that eventually Xbox Game Studios is going to be impressive. They're going to have the clout, and the games are going to come, but he's kind of running out of runway. It's been years and years that they've been saying, oh, the games will come, the games will come. We're buying all these studios, we're doing all this stuff. There's nothing to show for it.
yeah,
And especially with Halo now being on its fourth game director, man, I don't know.
right.
You gotta think that that's not exactly going well.
You know, how big is this Bethesda acquisition gonna
Yeah, I was gonna
be for
say
them?
that might
You
be
know,
like their first big get that like actually results in them be like, oh well, we cannibalized this studio, so now their good games are our good games, and that
Mm,
feels like the model they're gonna go with going forward because they have no other path to console war victory. You know what I mean?
truly, I think that they were embarrassed with Halo, and they're gonna want to make up for that. Yeah, I don't think that them wanting to make up for that is gonna necessarily bode well for much of the gaming community.
I mean, we'll see.
We'll see though. Yeah, for sure. What do I know?
Yeah, because I think Sony's just going to continue their strategy of knocking it out of the park with their single player stuff, and
Yep.
then tying up some key third party stuff with exclusive content.
Yeah, they need to be a little bit more open to cross-platform stuff, I think. I know that they've put the kibosh on a few things that Microsoft, Nintendo wanted to do. Um, yeah, there's your CODs, your Fortnites, and whatnot, but yeah, hopefully they get to be a bit more, business friendly in that sense.
That's the thing, though. That's always going to flip flop. Whoever's in the
Yeah,
lead, they can afford to say, "Nah, I don't think so." Because that used
that's
to
a
be
True.
very good
Microsoft.
point.
Sony used to be the one who was open to all the cross platform and wanting to be gamers first. And now that's Microsoft's shtick. I'm sure if it flip flops the other way and Sony finds himself trailing, they're going to be a lot more open.
Very good point.
Guys, we always end on this down note where we just
Well,
shit all over
games
something.
games are
Uh,
serious business apparently, and it's important for us to get into that serious business, and our timing just lines up with the end of the podcast because we are very good at organizing this.
yeah.
Anyways, on an up note, PS5 and the Xbox Series X are out. Maybe get one over the other based on the launch lineup. But Paul and I have PS5s, and we think they whip ass real fucking hard. So take that as your endorsement.
For sure.
Yeah. Take that as your endorsement, and I will report back next time on whether I've opened my Xbox or not.
Yeah, whether you found a reason to take it out of the box.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear Ori runs at 120.
Ooh.
And I don't think we ever actually talked about that game, but it's a phenomenal game.
Oh yeah.
Will of the Wisps, it's so good.
Yeah, I'd expect nothing less. Did that come out this year?
Yeah, in February.
That'll probably be.
That was the last event I traveled for before the pandemic hit.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, I went to San Francisco and played a preview build and beat the shit out of it and had a pretty good time.
Yeah,
it's a lot better than the first game.
And the first one was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's good to hear. I haven't played the second one, but I would imagine that it's going to be on many people's top 10 lists at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, it'll be sniffing around on mine for sure. That's we haven't really come up with a plan for game of the year yet, but that's probably like the podcast after next.
Give me time to play Hades, and then we can do game of the year. What do you say?
I think we have to wait until Cyberpunk comes out.
Yeah. Give you time to
Exactly.
buy Cyberpunk and also Hades, and then we can do game of the year.
Well, at least Hades is a like low time investment that you can, put an hour or two here or there and get an idea of what it is. Yeah. Cyberpunk, you got to clear the next month out of your schedule.
Oh my God.
Truly.
I'm terrified of that, by the way.
Yeah. Man, the 3 different pathways that you can take at the start of the game. Are you this fucking desert dweller, the city kid? Man, it looks fucking crazy. Like the people that are going to do all 3 playthroughs, man, you're going to be in for 500 plus hours easy.
Oh, yeah.
Closer to 1,000 maybe.
Come on, man. It's not that big.
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know. It's bigger than Witcher 3. And if you were doing Witcher 3 100%, people were looking at what, 250, 300?
Nobody was doing that though.
Man, 100%.
I mean, some people were, but
my roommate, it took him 80 hours just to beat the main storyline, and he was powering through it. Like he just wanted to beat the game.
Was he really though?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had like a 40-ish hour time on that game.
Well, maybe you're just that much better than him.
Yeah, I must be an expert gamer.
We'll have to put that to the test.
You want to see how expert my gaming is? Just take a look at my Call of Duty gameplay.
Okay.
No, don't.
If it's
fucking garbage.
Well, if it's anything like your SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom play, then it will probably be something to watch.
You'll just have to watch it and find out.
Nice.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell. Smash the bell. Dropkick it from orbit.
Beat that bell until it gets bruises that it can't hide, even with a lot of makeup and scarves.
Yep. Beat that bell until Manscaped gives us a call.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, yes. Do terrible things to the subscribe, notify bell until some sponsor, such as Manscaped, knocks upon our door with gifts of affiliation and assistance.
I messaged Red about this the other day, but I got my first Manscaped ad on Twitter. I think probably because of the discussion we've been having here.
Oh yeah.
So it probably means they're interested in us.
It's about time. I mean, how long have we been hawking their products for free?
2 episodes.
2 episodes too many.
Yeah. Some would say that, and they'd be right.
Yeah.
Well, these balls aren't going to tone themselves.
It won't.
Not yet. That's Manscaped 4.0. Then balls tone themselves, and their whole product line becomes obsolete. It's a dark day, but it's coming.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yes, you know what? We've had a great time talking about games. Let's sign off and play some of them.
Yeah, that's
in my
absolutely
case,
what I'm going to go do.
Yeah. I will make a video about those games, and then maybe if there's time, play some of them.
Nice. Could I,
Oh, yeah. I know what that's all about. I love
Could I-
that.
oh yeah, 100%. Maybe I could come over and enjoy these PS5s with either one of you.
You can look through the window. Get those Rona restrictions.
Right. Right, the
Forlorn
Rona restrictions.
puppy dog in the window, pressed up
Yeah.
against the glass. I can
Perfect.
see the pixels from here, guys.
Yeah. And then I do end up in jail.
A little, for a minute. It's fine. It's fine. All right.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Peace out, everybody.